Hi guys and welcome to ScIQ. I hope you enjoyed watching the Democratic debate last night, and I hope you're one of the tens of thousands of people who watched the debate alongside the Young Turks. We were pretty sad here at ScIQ that there weren't many science issues mentioned, which is a break from Barack Obama era where their debates often talked about science and innovation and technology as the cure for the problems that we face and as a way to reach our goals in the future. But there were a few key science issues that were discussed, and I want to break those down for you and also call bullshit on a couple of the candidates who totally made their science facts up. Now, I'll be the first to admit I didn't know much about the candidates other than Hillary and Bernie before the debate, but the one friend of science that I noticed up there on the stage was Martin O'Malley. Now, he had a few questionable things to say on other issues, but on green energy, he was pretty solid.
I have put forward a plan, and I'm the only candidate, I believe, in either party to do this, to move America forward to a 100% clean electric grid by 2050. We need to make America 100% clean electric by 2050. We need to move America to a 100% clean electric grid by 2050. And we want to create 5 million jobs along the way.
This 5 million jobs might seem like a really high figure, but we're going to need to do a lot of stuff in order to get to completely renewable energy by 2050, and so that number might be pretty accurate. We're going to have to do things like update the nation's electrical grid, as well as have a huge rush to find commercialized and widespread hybrid technology for our cars, and also commercialize widespread use of renewable energies in our homes. Many of these issues were already detailed in the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, so switching to green energy would be a huge stimulus on the economy and a great idea, O'Malley. Number two, Bernie Sanders was absolutely amazing, just in general, but he was also the only person to talk about advice that he'd got from scientists.
The scientists are telling us that we need to move extremely boldly.
What he's saying is exactly spot on. Scientists do say we need to move extremely boldly. Barack Obama's existing policy is a cut of 80% of emissions below 1990 standards by 2050. But to avoid catastrophic climate change, we're going to need to keep global warming levels to below 2 degrees of change. And in order to do that, we're going to have to keep CO2 levels to below 400 parts per million. Now, we've already recorded 400 parts per million at certain sites, including in Hawaii. So we're going to have to move incredibly quickly, not just to keep our emissions down, but also to reduce the amount of CO2 that already exists in the atmosphere. And that's going to take a lot of bold and courageous change. And Bernie, I think you're the guy to do it. Number three was Hillary Clinton's response when she was called out on her very slow rejection of the Keystone Pipeline. Now, if you're not familiar with the Keystone Pipeline, it's a huge oil pipeline that will take oil from the fields in Alberta, Canada, all the way down to refineries in Texas and other locations around the US. Now, this plan is going to have huge environmental impacts, including a risk of oil spills along the very environmentally sensitive areas that this pipeline is going to run, as well as a step in the wrong direction from the green energy program that we should be running, back to relying on and expanding our use of fossil fuels.
I never took a position on Keystone until I took a position on Keystone. But I have been on the forefront of dealing with climate change, starting in 2009 when President Obama and I crashed a meeting with the Chinese and got them to sign up to the first international agreement to combat climate change that they'd ever joined. So
Hillary only announced her objection to the pipeline just back in September, even though the Keystone Pipeline has been an issue for over 5 years. So I really don't trust her judgment and her track record when it comes to climate change issues. Sorry, Hillary. And number four was a positive out of Hillary. She was the only candidate to talk about using the scientific method as a valid way of making political decisions. Great work, Hillary. She talked about using science to better understand the use of medical marijuana. This is what she had to say.
I do support the use of medical marijuana, and I think even there we need to do a lot more research so that we know exactly how we're going to help people for whom medical marijuana provides relief.
She might have been just using science and more research to get out of making a decision on marijuana, and I understand that, but I did like the idea that she was ready to say, I'm not going to make a decision on this yet, I want to do more research. And we love a candidate that's not going to turn to ideology, but is instead going to turn to statistics and facts. And the good news is that science suggests that medical marijuana, as well as recreational marijuana, definitely doesn't have the number of negative effects that Republicans try and say it does, and may have many positive health effects. So if Hillary is going to rely on the science, we're going to see some good decisions coming out of her office should she become the first female president. No matter who your favorite candidate was, it was absolutely a refreshing debate from the Democrats. After watching the Republicans just totally make shit up and deny science, it was nice to see that the Democrats at least had some sort of grip on reality. I'd love to know what you all thought about the debate. What were the issues that you thought they didn't quite answer very well? What sort of science issues would you like to see discussed in the next debate? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll feature your ideas in a future video. Hi everyone, I'm Jayde Lovell, resident science nerd on the Young Turks Network. You're watching ScIQ, and we know you don't want to miss an episode, so please click the subscribe button down below.